Please put your hands together for Mickey Schroeder.
Yeah!
All right. So, hey, you guys hate it. I hate it when whenever you run into somebody that they know who you are. They call you by your name, but you have no clue who they are, you know? This happened to me the last time I went back home. I stopped at the convenience store. I went back to get a soda and kind of almost bumped into this lady. I'm like, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. And she looks at me and she goes, Mickey Schroeder, is that you? Oh my God. And I'm like, hey, how are you? And she's like, you have no idea who I am, do you? I'm like, no clue, no clue. Which was all right, though, because apparently this lady turned out to be a buddy of mine I used to hang out with when I was a kid.
Hey!
Yeah. And by buddy, I mean penis and balls and hairy armpit and mustache kind of buddy. Yeah. I registered with the draft with this dude, you know? And so I don't know if you've ever been in this situation before. First thing that I noticed is that there's no small talk you can use with some guy or some lady you know used to be a dude, you know? I'm sitting there like, so what's new with you? My buddy's standing in front of me with a new set of tits, and what's new with you is the best I could come up with. Yeah. But she said, she goes, well, obviously I'm a girl now. And I'm like, yeah, what's up with that? I didn't even know you were gay. And she's like, well, I'm not anymore. And then she says, speaking of which, you know, you and I should get together and we can, you know, catch up a little bit. And I'm like, oh, I knew where that was going. You know, I'm like, I'm a happily married guy. Anyway, you really wouldn't want to date a guy like me, given my track record with women anyway. And she's like, well, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, the girls I date generally have a history of being girls. So anyway, I suppose they don't call you Brian anymore. She's like, no, it's Brienne. I still spell it the same way. I didn't want to go through that whole name change hassle. I'm like, yeah, that's a hassle. Chopping your wiener off, not a problem.
Wow.
Exactly. You know it. I don't know what the greeting etiquette is for somebody you know used to be a girl or a guy. You know, it's like I just did the little half hug, pat the back thing. You know, I don't know. It doesn't matter anyway. How many people here have kids?
Yeah!
Yes. Kids are crazy nowadays, aren't they? I mean, they're doing everything. I mean, they'll snort everything. They'll huff everything. There's teenagers popping Viagra nowadays. Like they need the help. I mean, on the Viagra pills, they have the warning that if you maintain an erection for more than 4 hours, you have to consult a physician. I remember when I was a teenager, there was 4 hours in my entire high school career that I wasn't walking around with a boner. Seriously. Times have changed nowadays. Kids are having sex with their teachers. I mean, talk about incentive to keep kids in school, huh? That's the kind of extra credit I want, you know. Sign me up for that. That was never around when I was a kid. Can you imagine being that kid, though? I mean, that would pretty much dwarf everybody else's high school achievement, wouldn't it? And you're going through the old yearbook and you see the valedictorians, 4.0, all 4 years of high school, was All-American in football and baseball. One day aspires to be the President of the United States. Then you look over at Dirty Johnny's picture and it says, oh yeah? Well, I knocked up Miss Sterling. Stick that in your trophy case there, Biff. So anyway, I had a Michael Jordan moment the other day. Yeah, by that I mean Michael Jordan, you know, he retired from basketball because he felt like he had achieved all the goals that he set for himself. Didn't think that he could bring anything else to the game of basketball, so he just hung it up. And I had one of those moments the other day. You know, that's why I don't masturbate anymore. Yeah, I know. I just I put the dildo back in the sock drawer. Put the peanut butter back in the pantry. Put the dog back in his cage. And I thought, you know what? There's nowhere else I can take this, so I'm just gonna give it up. Why is it that when guys talk about masturbation, it's disgusting and inappropriate, but when women do, it kind of makes me want to masturbate? Yeah, I don't know if there's any health risks to excessive masturbation, but I do know that my computer came down with a few viruses from it. Exactly, I know. Yeah. I'm a married guy. I'm happily married, and I tell you what, my wife and I. Thank you. Yes. My wife and I, we like to spice things up in the bedroom, try different things. What I found out is that my wife is really into the role-playing stuff. You know, we don't dress up in any costumes or use fancy accents or anything like that. Apparently what happens is she pretends that I'm somebody else. Yeah. But, you know, it's cool, though, because I get to try and figure out who I'm supposed to be. Yeah. That's when I bring in my best Charlie Sheen. I'm like, you know what would be great here, honey? A couple of prostitutes. Maybe some cocaine. Winning, duh. Or Christopher Walken. Wow! Your boobs are fantastic. Crazy, I know. Usually I'm an ass man, but your boobs, wow. And the crocodile hunter, so I was like, you know, I'm gonna approach the kid from the rear, very cautiously. Now you really gotta be careful, sweetheart, from that snake there, because it'll spit at you. But it was never the crocodile hunter, or Christopher Walken, or Charlie Sheen. She'd always give it up way too early, about 30 seconds in. She's like, oh man, Brad Pitt's got a little wiener too. Yeah. So when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of TV. And on Wednesday nights, they had Unsolved Mysteries. You guys remember Unsolved Mysteries? That was a great show. It was great because it was creepy. The sound, the music, and Robert Stack, his voice, sends shivers down my spine every time he talked. You know, I always thought it'd be kind of cool to have him on my voicemail. You're trying to get a hold of me, I'm not around, all of a sudden you hear, Mickey Schroeder, an unknown comic from Dickeyville, Wisconsin, has mysteriously failed to answer his cell phone. Local authorities have confirmed there's no evidence of foul play, as they believe he will be returning shortly. If you, or any of your friends, has any information from Mickey Schroeder, please don't hesitate to leave your name and number and a short message after the beep. Until next time, I'm Robert Stack. So, as I said before, Brandon said I'm from Dickeyville, Wisconsin, and it is a very small town in Wisconsin, a hair away from Balltown, Iowa, that's no lie. But I grew up Catholic in Dickeyville, and I went to Catholic grade school. Any Catholics here tonight? None. Good. Good. All right, I feel real comfortable then in front of the Catholics. So, but I was actually considering becoming a priest right up until about first day of sixth grade, when all the girls in my class showed up with their new boobs. Yeah, God told me that day I was a boob man. Unfortunately, I also found out that day that I have a terrible allergy to the female breast. I don't know what it is, if it's the whole thing or just the nipple, but it seems every time I get near them, my penis just swells right up. Yeah. Unfortunately, that wasn't a very big problem for me either. But, all right. Well, I like being married a lot more than dating life, because my dating life was horrible. I was on a blind date one time, and we were driving to the restaurant we were going to, and my date looks at me and she goes, "How come you got a 12-pack of beer in the backseat of your car?" And I'm like, "Well, that was in case you were ugly." Yeah, she thought it was funny too, right until I asked her to grab me one. That girl was hideous. But you know, what goes around comes around. I was on a blind date with a really hot chick too, and she was guzzling that 12-pack down like you wouldn't believe. You guys have been great. My name is Mickey Schroeder.